Hi there, hope you're all well. It's been a while since I've done a video. Been very busy, been a bit hoo-ha. However, since we're here, can we get one of them? And if you like the content, share it to your friends and family. Anyone who particularly likes the content. If you don't worry about it, it's fine. However, since we're here, let's get sort of what I'm about to say out of the way. We are heading in to a period in inverted commas Christian community, and probably in a lot in the Jewish community as well, called Holy Week. It's probably another name in the Jewish, but I won't try and translate that because that would be silly for me to do so, as it's way beyond my thing. However, in Holy Week, Christians are doing different things however they want to do it in. Personally, as you can tell, the camera's going a bit unsteady because I'm having to use one hand. Me personally, I personally chose to give up meat for the whole of the 40 days. Not just one day, but 40 days. And I also gave up, for some reason, I chose to give up chocolate, which was a very bad idea, for the whole 40 days. For some reason, and this happened, and I was explaining this to someone in a taxi yesterday. Every time we get to this period of between winter and spring, the transition period between it, for some reason, and I'll never fathom as to why, but for some reason I seem to think it's life or death, and think, oh my God, they're going to run out of chocolate, and go, I'm giving up chocolate for Lent. And for some reason, and then go on to, oh hell, I need a bit of chocolate. For the rest of the year, I never touch the stuff. So 360, I go past it, it's there, but I never touch it. If someone in the comments can explain why, all comments are welcome. I never touch it, never touch the stuff. But it gets to Easter time, and all of a sudden, I become like a ravenous carnivore for chocolate. Just do. Anyway, this wasn't about that in particular. However, since we're in Lent, Christians and other faiths, I'm not going to try and pretend to be knowledgeable about all faiths, because I'm not. That's your disclaimer. I'm not. But in Holy Week, it is the period between when Holy Week is that period. It's the 7 days, and it starts tomorrow, when Jesus, and I don't mean the swear word, he enters Jerusalem on a donkey. Now, everything in Holy Week, I do want to put this out, in Holy Week, everything has its symbolism, from the donkey and how the procession, the journey, there's been this journey from Ash Wednesday, so that's 40 days ago, from when you receive your cross. Anyone who's been on my social media will have seen, or even if they haven't and they've been across social media platforms, will have seen that I purposefully put out that I had a signature of ash placed on my head. That signature of ash is to represent we are all made from ash. We're all made from that ash, and to ash we will return. So it's a regeneration process of shedding that lining. And also the ashes that are made from the very, and here's a symbolism. The things that we've done with palms are the very things for Palm Sunday, which is tomorrow. So last year's palms, all of last year's palms that were not used and weren't given in mass services are then burnt to create the ash that is put on your forehead. From ash to ash we return. Now you're with me. The journey Jesus is about to make. Now, if anybody on social media has not seen The Chosen, it is available on Amazon Prime. It's available to see from season 1, currently at the moment, to season 4. They released, this is where I think it's a bit odd and a bit weird. They released season 5 after Holy Week. I think that's a bit off, in my humble opinion. Like, you've got this Holy Week period where it should be in sync with, you should be seeing that side by side with Holy Week so that you get a full understanding, and people who aren't Christian would go nuts over it, and you'd probably get more of a following. Anyway, I'm digressing, which is probably exactly what the big man upstairs is probably doing, going, I'm shitting bricks. And I don't blame him. He's got a big job on his hands this week. He enters, this is a Palm Sunday, in effect, is a bittersweet day. The people basically representing us, going, yes, he's here. He's been going around the whole city doing all these things that are really good and positive for those that have been so stepped on by the Romans. Romans have been going around punishing, crucifying, killing, committing murder, and trying to stamp their authority on you. The people have been sitting there and going, for how long does this have to go on? And this person that's come from his lowly upbringing, he was born, if you remember back in December, he was born in this manger. Everyone sat there and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, which is the stuff that goes up and it's sacred, and myrrh, which is placed on you for burial. Comes from this place and sits and says his final journey is on this donkey. He asks one of his friends, one of 12 that he selects, and says, go and get a donkey that no one's ridden, hasn't touched, and he gets 2 of his friends to do that, go off and do so regardless. And they said, well, what if we get challenged about it? Just say that the Lord has requested it. They're thinking, if someone said that to you and it's your donkey, you're going, bit weird, isn't it? You'd question it, like, bit weird, isn't it? This bloke's coming out here and saying it's someone who requests it. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Anyway, keep going. We'll get there. Tomorrow is the day where Jesus has to face his, in effect, some form of it's bittersweet, because he alone knows what awaits him at the end of these 7 days. It is it's painful for him because he knows that he's got to go through all this. He's got to go through the doubt. He's got to go through the most extremes of emotions of mankind. He's taking on the burden of every one of us on here. And it's the most gruesome, the most joyous joys that he's had in life. And also the most painful of pains that he'll ever have to. Also the scrutiny of Rome, who, if you don't get in line, they'll kill you. And in the next 7 days, they're set to do that. They're basically plotting. In the next 7 days, they'll plot to murder this guy who they think, if we kill him, we get rid of him, that's it, done. We'll have done our duty, we're done, we're set here to kill off this guy who's been going around basically doing all the stuff we've told him not to do, and he's going out there and doing it anyway. So what have we got to do? We've got to set an example to these people who worship the foot off this guy, So we have got to do what's right by taking him out. If we take him out, end of story. But they're not just dealing with just anybody, are they? To this day, millions upon millions follow him. They get spiritual fulfillment, healing. Miracles happen every day. Political leaders also follow this very man. The example he set. And every year at this time of year, there are those that never believed a single thing about God. Go to churches of Christian denomination and become a member, which is the beautiful thing about Easter time. It also sets in place the time frame when we're able to make a further promise to ourselves that in the next 12 months, all the promises that were made by our parents at baptism, as adults, we get to make that promise to ourselves. Which is a beautiful thing about spring. There's all the things that you could never do. You get to do that for yourself in spring with Easter and the celebrations that Easter brings. And I know that occasionally at Easter, it can be really difficult. It can plunge you into the most extreme places of feeling like you're on the outside looking in. But you are never alone, ever alone. The struggles, the pain, the heartache, the loss, and the grief at Easter time, it's consolidated. There is also some misinformation that's been placed out, and that's something also I wanted to cover in this video. I've watched so many videos on Easter. Now, whether that comes from what theorists hear and they interpret, I have no idea. But as a Roman Catholic myself, practicing Roman Catholic as well, Lent is not, there's this misapprehension that you give up meat during Lent. That Catholics have been put into this bubble going, by the way, Catholics give up meat for Lent. They don't. They don't have to. And also, if you are sick and you are not well, you are also not forced to go through giving things up for Lent. I'm afraid there's misinformation in the media and across social media that's saying, oh, you have to give this up. It's a choice to give something up. Yes, you could give that up. You could give it up and then put it towards something else that's more beneficial. For me, it was a choice. I chose personally, even with all my health issues, to give up meat. I gave up everything that was meat related. Even when people put temptation in my way, they kept putting. In fact, only yesterday I went to a takeaway, and they purposefully put meat in my order, and for that I then had to throw it away when I got home, because I don't touch it. It's one of those, it's a choice that I'm making to ensure that my body is healthy and fulfilled. And I have no qualms about that. I know that also for Lent this week, also the Lent decor for this week in particular, that every piece of decor in the house has been stripped. In effect, when you this week in particular, you're stripping down, because Christ will be stripped. He'll be stripped of his modesty, stripped of his dignity, stripped of his emotions, to the point where he's, in effect, on Good Friday, he's laid bare. And the Romans, he basically surrenders to the end and says, I'm here. And the Romans choose to be quite cruel, because that's what they're sent to do, to be cruel, humiliate him, tell him that he's not, if you're this supreme high being, what we've done won't serve a purpose, will it? And he looks up as much to say as, we won't. But he can't say that. He has to go through the human process. It's the human journey to that cross that every Christian and non-Christian as well, those that don't follow Christ but watch it, if you are watching The Chosen, season 5 will be the most heartbreaking, because it shows. Holy Week starts on Palm Sunday, which is for us is tomorrow, and it builds between, because we've got days like Maundy Thursday, it's called the Last Supper for a reason. There are two major themes for Thursday, for this coming Thursday. One is where Jesus washes the feet of each disciple, including Judas Iscariot, who is actually there. He washes the feet of all of them, knowing full well that in his heart, one of them will betray him, because that's why he got him involved. He knew that Judas had to be there because it was part of the story for Judas to fulfill. No matter, Judas was there for the glory. Judas wanted notoriety. It's all he ever wanted. He wanted that. However, and it's that second part in Maundy Thursday where he is betrayed. Christ gets betrayed on Holy Thursday, in the evening of Holy Thursday, which leads into Good Friday. And Good Friday is where we see that everything bare, laid out, stripped. You're stripped of everything that you ever had. You're stripped of everything that you ever. You're stripped of privilege. You're stripped of humanity. You're stripped of your dignity. Instead, you're humiliated and made fun of. And for every person in Jerusalem, they've sat there and gone, those that are too scared and don't want to get on the wrong side of the Romans will sit there and join in with the Romans and go, well, we don't want to be seen to be doing the wrong thing, so we're going to join in. But those that are that will not run from Jesus. His mum, in particular, his mum stands in solidarity with him, but is dignified, will walk with him every step of the way. She stood with him from birth, and has done as she was has gone with accordance with it, however difficult it has been. And on Good Friday, it will be the most painful for her as a mother, knowing that her child won't be there. It's for him, but he knows that everything turns good in the end. For every word he says goes to fruition. It's almost this point of, don't let this pass from me. Like, show me that this isn't in vain. Temples torn in half on Good Friday. Temple torn in two. The weird thing I find is that with Holy Week, the weather, wherever you are in the world, the weather also turns on Good Friday. It never stays pleasant. It always turns for that week of Holy Week Currently, as you can see from what I'm wearing, currently we've got good weather at the moment. Tomorrow, Holy Week, the temperatures set to plummet and change. The rest, Holy Saturday. Saturday is where we celebrate to some degree, because Jesus will go straight down to the souls of the underworld, and they recognize who he is, because they've been struggling. They're sitting there struggling, going, we know who you are, help. In effect, the souls of purgatory and limbo are the ones that sit there and go, help us. And he's like, take my hand. First he has to go down. That's the reason why on Holy Saturday night, a fire is represented, which means burning who you once were. Anything and everything that once was burns in the fire, but it's ignited for the regeneration of the new. Hence the fire. You light the fire because that's the inner flame of the person that you are, of every individual that went into darkness on Good Friday. Everything goes into darkness on Good Friday, so it turns to dark. Holy Saturday is where Christ descends straight to purgatory and hell. First he goes down, and then on Sunday, we get the rebirth. We get that he's up, he's done it, he's defeated death. He's basically turned around and said, by the way, to everyone, you know that thing that you turned around and said couldn't be done? Up you. You know, you said I couldn't do it. I did. You know, you said that wasn't possible. Even the women that were at the foot of the cross on Good Friday will go to the tomb to lay aloes and spices and they will get a shock on the Sunday to be told there'll be someone that they don't recognise. They'll have forgotten about the teachings that he gave, all those stories that were parables, that were things that he was saying to them, directly saying to them, saying this is how it's going to play out. But they weren't listening to that. They thought it was something else. And to them, she sees there's one of them that sees who she believes is a gardener. And she then he says, why are you looking so bad? Why are you looking so down? They've taken my Lord. Your Lord. My Lord, he was laid to rest here. And she doesn't recognise who he is. She doesn't recognise that Christ actually has risen, as he said he would. When the moment he says he is risen, go and tell your friends that he is risen, she recognises who he is. At the moment he says he is risen, which begs Holy Week for any Christian, whether you are Catholic, Methodist, C of E, it is the journey. It is the journey between the dark and the light, going between those two, that leads into this, the journey and journeys it's the journey between it, and knowing how far you've come, where you've been, where it's taken you, and the moments of the regeneration process. And there are many people that find Easter even incredibly painful, and for them, I genuinely hope that they find the peace and the healing that they need at this Easter period. I'm going to end the video there. I was going to do a section about the decor that I've done, but I think I've just seen the timing of how long this video is, and it's quite a bit. So, for me, I will just briefly say it, I've stripped the house, so it's complete, like the front room is completely stripped, bare minimum in the front room. I take everything down. it gets stripped of anything excessive in the front, just literally gets taken out and decluttered. Been doing a lot of that of late, decluttering, clearing out. It wasn't just because I had mice, it's also because it needed to go. And we gear up for spring. I've also got spring decor in, which is going to look really nice. Over 3 days it will completely change. So this week I've now got a mauve, more flowers over the door frame, and then on the Good Friday it will remain the same, but probably a lot of there'll be a lot of clothing changes. And then Holy Saturday into Holy Sunday is where the changes take place. Saturday night is where I think Saturday is where the changes. I used to do a lot of changes when it came to Good Friday. Good Friday I used to put red around the door frame, symbolising the blood that is spilled. Now that don't happen. I'll leave it mauve. And then on the Sunday there will be a lot of Saturday night after the vigil is where the decor changes come in again, and I completely turn it over and there'll be literally lots of rabbits. There'll be rabbits everywhere. Don't get me wrong, there'll be rabbits everywhere. So if any kids that watch it, there's going to be rabbits dotted in places. So I'm trying to make it I'm trying to make it as sweet and nice for neighbourhood kids, because it's like you want to make it sweet for them, because it's Easter period, and especially for the little ones, which would be rather nice for them. So looking forward to it. I'm a big kid when it comes to Easter, and I've had to stop myself from eating too much chocolate already. And I know I've only got a week left, but I've only had one bag of chocolate, so I feel slightly guilty for that. But food wise, I am sticking to a completely fish diet. So from tomorrow all the way through to even Holy Saturday night, all of it is fish. Then on Easter Sunday we are down to I've got a lamb in. So lamb is in the freezer. Got it freshly made from the butcher, so rather pleased with that. Me and my brother will be probably tucking into a good portion of meat. Looking forward to it. Right, that's the video done. I will, and as you can see, I'm trying to keep everything out the way, but unfortunately you can't always do that with camera views. I hope and wish you all a good and peaceful Easter period. Look after yourselves, take care. Oh, and if you're a Newcastle supporter, there'll be a Man U Newcastle watch along at 3 p.m. when there's a kick-off. And I don't mean the kind of kick-off that normally results with someone getting verbally abused. But there will be a watch along on all your Newcastle watch along channels. I hope to see you on one of them. Look after yourselves, take care. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.